Good day. My name is Tafadzwa Mabhaudhi. I lead EMI's research group on sustainable and resilient food systems. And I'll be talking to you today about farmer-led irrigation development in a changing climate and looking at how do we move from global to plot scale and across multiple scales. Just in terms of context, we expect that under climate change, given the most recent projections, about 11% of croplands are vulnerable to climate change, and about 20% yield reduction is expected under RCP 4.5. And we know that with these increased losses, they will mostly affect smallholder farmers in the global south who do not have the capacity to respond to climate change. And they also lack access to water and energy for irrigation, as well as other uses at the homestead level. So how do we start moving across the different scales to address this challenge at a plot or at a farm level? Now, just to give an understanding of context when we talk about multiple scales and moving across scales, we are talking about moving, in this case, we can move either from global and you are zooming in to the crop, or you are moving from the crop level and moving to the regional level and the global level. It is important to understand the role and importance of water across these different scales and how to manage it, as there are significant implications in terms of system level trade-offs. For example, a lot of improvements in water use efficiency that happen at the field, farm, and community level are usually not transferred to the catchment and basin level because the water is often reallocated at farm or field level to other uses. Hence, we need to understand the trade-offs and how water can be managed across these different levels. And in the context of the work we are doing at EMI, where we have been focusing on the water, energy, food nexus, it also becomes important to understand the different actors who have also different objectives and agendas, as well as how to incentivize those different actors across these different scales. So when we talk about multiple use services, and we talk about wash, and we talk about water, energy, and food, and livelihoods, it is important to understand who those actors at different scales are and how you then bring them together to bring about change in behaviors. In this particular talk, we are going to look in particular at the farm community, where we also have interest in integrating pastoral communities who are often not considered when we talk about agricultural water management. Now, moving forward now at the community level, we have three common pathways in terms of water management that we have. The dominant one is the rain-fed system, which in Africa accounts for about 95% of agricultural production. We also have at this level public irrigation schemes, which were developed. Most of them were developed in the colonial era. There are some that have been developed post-colonial era, but most of them struggle in terms of performance and delivering on the objectives for which they were actually set out for. Of particular interest to this talk is farmer-led irrigation development, which is something that has emerged over time and mostly driven by farmers who are transitioning out of rain-fed cropping, de-risking from rain-fed systems, and moving into this new space. And just to zoom in more on farmer-led irrigation, this is generally where farmers themselves are driving the improvement in their water use. They are driving the investments in pumps, in irrigation, in sustainable irrigation technologies, and they are initiating the demand. Hence, we call it farmer-led irrigation development. So it is very organic, it is very bottom-up, but it also requires a lot of support because it is not just about water, it is about several other things coming together. And this is where we start talking about the issue of bundling technologies, where we need to bring in inputs, because with access to water, you also need to be planting the right varieties that have the right water productivity and can yield the maximum under the irrigation. We need to also improve the agronomic practices so that you can optimize the production and productivity. We need to think about the value chain in terms of processing, distribution, post-harvest handling and storage, and how we market and provide access to markets to farmers. So we have been working a lot in the realm of bundled innovations, bringing these different interventions into single packages that support farmers at the farm and smallholder community level. Now, we also need to understand that FLID, or farmer-led irrigation development, plays out in the context of multiple use services. Hence, it has several and multiple drivers that are driving it and increasing the demand. A lot of this is farmers wanting to de-risk and move out of rain-fed systems so that they can improve productivity and income from producing high-level crops, as well as get stabler yields under increasing rainfall variability. And what we are seeing is that in a lot of cases, the limitations were usually around the investments in pump technology and energy. And this is where solar irrigation or solar-based irrigation has really played a significant role in terms of reducing the energy costs, and also the bundling of innovations and some of the models that have been used, such as pay as you go, have also helped to make solar-based irrigation affordable to farmers. In some cases, you have business models where you've got one farmer who invests in the solar pump and then irrigates for others. There is a significant overlap between farmer-led irrigation development and water for sanitation and hygiene, or self-supply, and the use of multiple use services, because at the community and farm level, water infrastructure is often used for multiple purposes. So if you've got a pump, it's not only used to irrigate water, it's also used to pump water for the household. It's used to pump water for the livestock, especially during the dry periods. It is also used for several other purposes that support the broader household activities as well as the broader community activities. So WASH and FLID do go hand in hand. And what we have found is that through promoting FLID, we are indirectly also promoting access to water and enhanced WASH. Now, what we have also learned is that there is a need for multi-actor partnerships for scaling this solar-based FLID so that it reaches more people. We need to work with a different range of actors, not just researchers, but we also need to reach out to private and public sector partners and come up with these innovative bundles that bring together the different solutions and bring them closer to farmers, and also make them affordable to farmers and accessible to farmers. And this is where it becomes important, especially at the farm and community level, in terms of how do we support investments in multi-purpose infrastructure, how do we support investments in FLID, and how do we support these investments to translate into tangible outcomes for rural communities in terms of addressing issues of income, poverty, food security, and WASH at the farm and community level. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. Good day.